Okay. All right. Good morning and welcome to the Employability Skills Series, where we explore the top skills employers are looking for in candidates. Each week, we will cover a different topic with thoughts and insights from professionals in a variety of industries. I'm your host, Megan Morrow, Senior Associate Director of Experiential Learning and Employer Relations. Today, I have Stephanie Jones as my guest, and we will be discussing the importance of nonverbal communication skills in the workplace. Stephanie Jones is the VP of HR at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Stephanie is focused on both organizational culture and organizational development at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. This culture focused HR role is fitting since Stephanie is a world traveler and connoisseur of diverse cultures. She has visited all 50 states, lived in 10 of them, and lived in Germany for 6 years as well. She has visited 48 countries, some only for 8 hours on a travel layover, but it still counts. Prior to coming to CMA, Stephanie covered all of the Northeast motorways and the DC airports as the HR director and was responsible for the welfare of 5,000 employees, both union and non-union members. Prior to that, she worked at Tampa Airport and was responsible for all the restaurant's union negotiations, HR, risk management, and OSHA safety compliance needs for over 5,000 employees from diverse cultures and backgrounds. Stephanie has an MBA, is SHRM or SHRM certified, and has her professional and human resources certification. She has served on a board of several HR organizations, but training is her true love. She focuses on organizational development, training, employee engagement, and risk management to create safe and inclusive work environments. Stephanie loves to spend time with her military husband, David, her Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, Zoe, and wishes she had more chances to spend with her daughter, Tiffany, her grandson, Aiden, who lives in Alberta, Canada. Good morning, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. And today we are talking about nonverbal communication. So before we get started, is there anything else that you would like to share with us about you? I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive bio. You've been around the world and back again and all over the states. And so anything else that we should know about you, Stephanie?
Well, the reason I volunteered to do the nonverbal communication is because it's near and dear to my heart because having been in several different states and cultures, nonverbal communication is huge. So the things that we think are okay in some countries are not okay in others. And it was a
Yes.
hard learning curve for me.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's super important. I know I talked to my father who, like you, traveled all over the world, lived in several different cultures, had business partners in different cultures. He talks about that all the time too, and how you have to, when you go to somebody else's homeland, somebody else's culture, you don't get to Americanize it. You have to adapt to their culture and what is appropriate for them. So this is really important. I love this topic because you just don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times it's written all over our face and we don't
Absolutely.
even realize we're doing it. So this is a great topic for those listening and those that are going to watch it later on. So let's dive right on into it. I know you said you have a PowerPoint for us. So I'm going
I
to
do.
stop sharing my screen and there we go. And
Okay.
let you just kind of take over for us.
All right. And see if I can get it into screen share slideshow mode. Okay,
Okay.
so as you mentioned, we're talking about nonverbal communication and why it matters. And I think it matters in a lot of different ways, from your personal life to your professional life. I know for me, when I'm talking to my husband, and he tends to tell long stories when he explains situations, and I'm like, quick, quick, go, go, go. And so I will turn my body away, like getting ready to go do the next thing, and he'll be like, "You're not listening to me."
Mm,
And he's right, I'm not. I'm ready. I'm on to the next thing. And it's just from that turning my body away from him that he gets that I'm not listening to him.
mhm.
Um, so there are so many things that make up nonverbal communication, from just the hand signals, etc., um, to even your tone of voice. A lot of people have heard the communication that only 7% of what you say is your verbal communication. The rest of it is all nonverbal. And so I truly believe in that. Now, that can be skewed just based on different cultures and things like that that we already discussed. Uh,
Very true.
So I think when we get into issues is when our nonverbals are saying something different than what we're personally saying. So with my husband, if I say, yes, I'm listening to you, but I'm still turning my body away and like trying to walk away, obviously I'm not listening to him and he gets that. And he'll shut down and he actually won't even talk to me anymore. Um, I have a manager that works for me and we sent her to some training. And before we sent her to training, I said to her, you have to be very careful because part of this training is about your body language and you tend to cross your arms. I know you're just cold, but I know you. They don't
Mhm.
know you. So when you walk into this training and you have your arms crossed and you're just staring, they're going to think you're standoffish, that you don't want to be part of this organization or this training that you're going to.
Mhm.
So I think sometimes people don't think about that.
No, they don't. And that's a great point to make, Stephanie, because like my students, they sit in class and they're kind of like this, and they're even kind of
Mhm.
like drop their head and they're kind of glaring over their eyes. And
Yes.
I know that they're just cold or that they're tired or, that they're just kind of taking it in. And I've been an educator for 25 years. So like I know that they're just sitting there, like they're just taking it in. But if you actually, from my point of view, like if you were to look at them, I mean, they look like the look they're giving me is almost like you're the stupidest person in the world. You have nothing of value to say. I hate being here. Like they're shooting daggers at me, but I know that's not what they're doing. But
Hmm.
their face says it. So I have to be like, fix your face.
Right.
Yeah. And they don't even, and they're like, what? Because then they'll come up to me afterwards and they're smiling and they're like, hey, that was a great class. And I'm like, was it?
Because you didn't act like
Because,
it.
whoa, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that you can actually learn how to use your nonverbal clues to resolve conflict. So, when you're leaning into a conversation, when you're smiling throughout a conversation, and it can calm somebody down that you're in conflict with, or that has a heightened sense of emotions right at that moment.
I like that.
So, um,
Yeah, a smile. Yeah, just relaxing your face,
absolutely.
a simple
Absolutely.
smile.
So obviously communication is two things, it's verbal and nonverbal. But I think a lot of times people don't realize the tone of voice also makes a difference. So
Yes.
if, I were to say, hey, Jennifer, what were you doing just now? And I'm kind of like this, and my tone of voice is kind of like, I don't understand. It kind of conveys a different message than I say, hey, Jennifer, can you explain to me what your thought process was?
Oh, completely different message.
Yeah. So the first one,
Completely
she's
different
like,
message.
I'm scared to tell you whatever I was thinking. The second one,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I'll tell you what I was thinking and my thought process because I'm
Yeah,
here to support her.
that first one was a little accusatory, like, ooh,
Yeah,
shoot,
it
I'm
really
in
was.
trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Yeah.
then they're going to shut down. They're not going to want to communicate with you. And try that with your friends, try that with your teachers, try that with your parents. Um, it's so easy for us to look at our parents sideways and act like they're the stupidest person in the world. But if we think
Mhm.
about, hey, can you explain to me what that means? It's a
Mhm.
whole lot better. And then I I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that, the most important thing to hear isn't what's being said, it's what's not being said. It is the nonverbal communications. And that's going to tell you if what they're saying is in consistency with what they're actually thinking and feeling.
Mhm.
So when you look at this picture, I'm sorry, I keep trying to move this away so that it's not in the way of the pictures. But when you look at this picture, what is the message that she's conveying?
She looks very engaged.
Hmm.
Because she's got her hands clasped, but they're not tight. It looks like she's kind of leaning forward. I mean, from what I can see of her face, it's relaxed. So this looks like
Oh,
she's very engaged. She's very open to the conversation that she seems like she's having.
absolutely. And that is an example of the words matching the body language.
Hmm.
I always say to my CEO, I want to like take a lesson from him on nonverbal communication because when I get excited, I start to talk louder. I use my hands. I'm like, but he has this posture. Whether he's excited or not, he's always very open. He's always listening to what people say. And his body language conveys a sense of confidence in him.
Kind of like the analogy of the duck, very
Yes,
calm, but under the surface, the feet might be going, but the
correct.
exterior is very calm and
Hmm.
composed.
Yep.
Okay, very cool.
And so I hate going into meetings with my CEO though, because usually if I'm in a meeting with him, it's because I'm very agitated or excited about something. And then he's like this, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta be like this too. Um, so really nonverbal communication is communication without words. It is your body language, your postures, your facial expression, your eye contact, but really tone of voice really, really, really makes a huge difference.
Hmm. Yes, I like that. Eye contact
Um,
is huge. Hmm.
it is for sure. Nonverbal communication actually builds an image in other people's minds about you. It
Okay.
also builds an image in your mind about others and their nonverbal communication. So nonverbal communication influences the way the conversation is going to go.
Okay. Now that goes hand in hand, would you say, like with the confidence that you feel in yourself?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, because
Absolutely.
that's yeah, because that's something I talk about in class all the time, like confidence being the number one skill you can master to be successful, not just in business settings, but like in life. Because when you're feeling confident, your shoulders are back, your head is up, and it's a very commanding, not
Yes.
demanding or anything like that, but it's commanding, and you're like, I'm here, I'm meant to be here, I'm good, like versus like that imposter syndrome where you kind of
Mhm.
like close in on yourself, like, oh no. I shouldn't be here trying to make yourself small. So yeah, I like this. Very cool.
So I think sometimes people say, like, before you go into an important meeting or important conversation, stand up, stretch out, move your arms out, really open up your body language so that you're
Hmm.
open to things
Hmm.
instead of walking like this or closed up. Really make yourself open because that will, in your mind, actually make you open to different conversations.
Yeah, I mean, like do the Superwoman or Superman pose for
Superwoman
like two
pose,
minutes,
yeah,
like in the bathroom. Yeah, like
exactly.
yeah. The mind is a powerful thing. Absolutely.
It very much so is. Um, the other thing about nonverbal communication is it actually makes you reliable. So when your body language matches your voice, your tone of voice, and your words, people believe in you. People believe in what you're saying.
Yeah,
It
that
makes you more
consistency.
reliable to them. Yeah, it's consistency. Exactly. Um, so kinetics or body language is really important, and you can learn kinetics with no formal training. You can practice things in front of the mirror. You can understand what the social norms are of the conversation that you're going into, and by practicing those eye contacts, facial expressions, emotions before you go into the meeting, you can have the right ones.
Okay, and how would a student know which ones are the right ones?
Well, I think you have to look at the norm of the area that you're in. So
Okay.
observe the teacher, because the teacher should be teaching you what the right norms are.
Okay. So paying attention to your surroundings, being able to read the room. No, okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
You already mentioned posture, but gesture is another huge one. Um, it's when you gesture this way or when you point. So where we are, we have this thing for our guest engagement people. We tell them don't ever point to a guest or where they're supposed to go. Give them an open hand palm and
Mm,
guide them towards that area. So that instead, because pointing can be seen as negative, whereas the open palm is seen as much more positive.
okay. That's a cultural thing
That
or
is a cultural thing here
okay.
at the aquarium.
Okay. Yeah, I do. 'Cause I mean, I even feel like more open with an open palm, like, oh, this way versus that way. Like it's very like a parent,
Yes,
like go that like you're being directed, you're being told what to do versus being invited with an open palm. I can feel that. I can feel the difference.
absolutely. And then appearance is another piece of your body language. So this morning, when I was trying to get dressed, I was going back and forth about what color to wear because color in your outfit, also the items that you're wearing, really make a difference. I have gone shopping before for new clothes for work, for a meeting or something like that, and I've been in shorts and a t-shirt because, this is Florida, and I get ignored by the salespeople.
Hmm.
But if I walk in after work where I'm in my work clothes, they come over and pay attention to me.
Yes. Yes. Even having like an airport outfit, like
Yes.
going to the airport dressed nice. You don't even think about it. People are like, oh, I'm gonna travel, so I want to be in comfy clothes. But if you go to the airport in your jammies, versus someone who's going in business clothes, you're more likely to, get assistance or maybe even get bumped up, to first
Hmm.
class or get it's because that you're presenting professionally versus somebody who's, sloppy.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So people don't realize that appearance is also part of your body language, part of the
Hmm.
communication that you're giving.
But yeah, the eye contact is huge too, because I know that is something that employers are saying a lot, especially with the younger generation, that they're having a hard time, maintaining eye contact. Like there's a lot of, if they look up, first of all, if they even establish, but to maintain. So, students listening and students that are going to watch the recording, you have to get comfortable with that. If it's something that you struggle with, start working on it now because that's something that's never going to go away. Like you have to be able to look somebody in the eye and maintain that eye contact, not just briefly and then look away. You got to be able to look somebody in the eye.
So I remember doing a couple of the mock interviews there at FSC, and
Mm.
I remember some of my feedback on the conversations was lack of eye contact, where they
Yes.
would not look me in the eye. So as an interviewer, if you're not going to look me in the eye, I'm not going to move forward with you.
Yes. Yes.
Eye contact relays trustworthiness, if you will.
Yes. Yes. Because if you can't look me in the eye, I'm like, are you hiding something?
Right.
Like, why can't you look at me? Right.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
huge. Yeah, that's
Yep,
huge.
absolutely. And then you can see here from all these different structures of postures. These people are actually waiting for an interview. So you don't realize that when you're waiting for an interview, people are watching you.
That's part of the interview. Yeah.
It is. And when I pick people up at the front door and then carry them over to the office for an interview with my CEO, I'm watching who do they contact? Who do they say hi to? Who do they ignore? Because that tells me how they're going to interact with our staff.
Yes. Yeah, because you're representing the company. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you brought this up, Stephanie, because when I talk about the stages of the interview before, during, and after, the interview starts the moment you set foot on that property.
It does. It really does.
I mean, from the
Um,
parking lot all the way to when you exit.
exactly. Exactly. So I told you the story about the girl that stands with her arms crossed and how I had to have
Hmm.
a conversation with her before the meeting. I recently had to go to another meeting and it was cold. It was in South Dakota. And
Oh,
so I had my arms cold crossed. I was wearing a sweater, but it was a Florida sweater, not necessarily a South Dakota sweater. And the director of the meeting just looked at me and said, "Do you not want to be here?"
oh,
Yeah. So it just kind of made me realize, oh, wow, it really does make a difference.
it does. It does. Yeah, same. I lost a job. It was a long time ago. It was a group interview, which was so weird. It was like one of those all day things. But same, I was nervous. I was young. I was nervous, but I was the first one there. I was dressed professional. I was sat in the front row, but I was like laser focused, but my face said something completely different than what I wanted. But I mean, I didn't have my arms crossed, but I mean, I was just like, and when we took a short break, maybe about an hour and a half into it, I had loosened up a little bit. I was kind of making jokes with the people sitting around me. And the presenter, interviewer, she's like, wow, she's like, you're actually kind of funny. And I was like, oh, I know. She's like, oh, no, no, no. I thought you were very unapproachable. You were very, and I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, I can't get past it. Like that first impression, I didn't get the job because of my face and my body
Yep.
language. I was probably one of the best candidates there, but she's like that. If I couldn't approach you as, a colleague, as potentially your boss, how are our clients going to approach you?
Right.
She's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, you represent the company. And I was like, and that was a hard lesson for me to learn, but it was a good teachable moment for me.
Yeah, I've been accused of being scary. And so th- might be the title, but I've been accused of being scary. So I try to really keep that smile going because I know I can get laser focused and my face
Yes.
tells my laser focus that I'm not there present. I'm somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, we're all guilty of it, even though we're aware of it. So as students, we're not singling you out. We're telling you work on it because even us as seasoned professionals, we do it. So we gotta
Absolutely.
breathe, relax your face. It's a
Yep.
pretty face. Relax it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, so, you've heard of RBF. That's what I get accused of all the time.
Me too. Me too.
So I mentioned gestures earlier. So there's just so many different gestures, but each of these gestures means something different in different cultures. And so
Mm-hmm.
you really need to understand what gestures are natural to you, things that you do on a regular basis that you don't even realize that you do. It goes back to that whole emotional intelligence course that we did a couple years ago,
Oh
where
yeah.
being aware of who you are and how you convey messages, because if you are going into a different culture or a different area, this is going to be really important to be aware of.
Yes.
Um, so the shoulder shrug usually tells that you don't know. The puffed up chest usually tells that you have some pride or achievement. When you suck in your stomach, you're basically saying you're uncomfortable with how you look, and so you don't want to look fat. My husband does that every time we take a family picture. And I'm always telling him, would you stop that? So it just the things that you think like the thumb and finger rub, where we think it's money, like money, 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 it does not mean that in several South American cultures. It's actually very offensive.
Oh, wow. Never would have thought that.
Yeah. So kind of know that. And different people, your gestures basically mean different things when you're with different people. So be aware of that also. Um, how do they change when you move from one person to the next?
Hmm.
So as an example on here, I have the thumbs up in USA, Australia, and the United Kingdom, and Russia, apply approval. But in West Africa, Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan, it means up yours.
Oh, my heavens.
So it's not something
Yeah.
you want to use in those countries.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think about it. I mean, it's like second nature. Okay, gotcha. Won't
I
even think about it.
oftentimes text the thumbs up on a text message back to somebody
Yeah,
when they give me some instructions. Got it, you know?
yeah. Oh,
So
goodness. Yeah.
yeah,
This is stuff my dad and I talk about too all the time. He doesn't travel so much anymore. He's retired. But yeah, he would say like he would read up on, cultural norms whenever he would go because again, we can't just bring our culture with us whenever we go and say, hey, well, this is okay in my culture. Well, you're not in that culture. You're in, like you said, Afghanistan, or you're in Australia, or you're in, you have to, do what's appropriate there. So
exactly.
this is really important. This is good. This is really good stuff, Stephanie.
So this hand gesture, I already mentioned, means everything's fine, it's great, okay. But in Brazil, it's considered rude.
Okay.
So again, just to think about, like you said, looking at the different cultures where you go. And then we've already kind of talked about facial feelings, how they convey your feelings. Facial expressions convey your feelings, and
Hmm.
they do most likely communicate your attitudes. And your facial expressions are going to be most closely tied to what you're truly thinking and feeling right at that moment,
Yes.
because you
Very true.
actually have to think about it to change those facial expressions. So I love all the different emojis, um, you know, that basically convey the different expressions, feelings. So you don't realize that you're conveying this
All over your face.
all over your face every day. Yep,
All the time.
all the time. We sort of talked about eye contact before.
Hmm.
It does express commitment. It expresses communication. It expresses that you're actually listening and that you actually hear the person.
Yes.
Very
Important.
hard to
Very
do on
important.
Zoom meetings and
Hmm.
remote conversations and things like that. So a lot of times when I start a Zoom meeting for an interview, I usually start it with, okay, I'm going to be looking at you, but you might be on the lower right of my screen and I might be on the lower left of your screen. So you think I'm not looking at you.
Yes. Well, important thing to say that with students, if you guys are ever on a Zoom interview, just make sure that you are looking at the screen and that you're not,
Hmm.
looking down. And if you are, I always say that, if you're going to take notes, make sure that you say, hey, do you mind if I take notes and let your future employer know you're taking notes so that if you are kind of looking down, they know what you're doing, but just make sure that you're not distracted by, a phone or something like that.
Great point. I do that when I'm doing interviews. I always say, I'm going to be taking notes about what you say. So I'm going to be looking down. That does not mean I'm not listening to you. It just means that I can't remember everything you said 10 minutes from now. So I want to capture it.
Yes. Yeah, that's important because when I was interviewing for this position, because I always take notes in an interview, about 10 minutes into it, I realized I hadn't said anything and I was looking down. So I was like, oh no. So I very dramatically picked up my flip pad and I was like, like I flipped the paper over just real dramatically so they saw it. I was like, I took my pen, I was like, rah, like.
One of the things that I really like about this particular comment, when you look a person in the eye, the pupils actually tell you their real feelings. If you're excited, your pupils expand. They can extend
Okay.
up to 4 times their normal size. But when you're angry or depressed, they contract and they get smaller.
That part
So,
of that whole fight or flight,
yes,
yeah.
exactly. So it's so important to look in the eyes, but to actually look in the eyes. So now we're saying you have to listen to what they're saying. You have to be aware of your body language. You have to look in their eyes. Now you've forgotten everything that happened, right?
Stimulation overload.
Yep, exactly. But it's important to be aware and then practice. Practice in the mirror, looking at yourself in the mirror, looking at your own eyes and looking how your eyes dilate or contract when you're talking. We already talked a little bit about appearance. I don't think there's much more I can say about that. Um, but then appearance of the surroundings. So the room that people are in, the furnishings, the decorations. I think that's why so many people on Zoom meetings put a false background behind them
Hmm.
because it changes how people think about you. So like you look like you're in an office
Hmm.
with office like windows behind you. So you
Yes.
look very professional.
Right.
Whereas I look like I have this dolphin thing behind me, maybe not quite so professional. So it definitely changes people's moods.
Hmm.
And then silence is really a big conveyor of emotion. So it kind of speaks its own words, but when you think about it, silence conveys disappointment in people. It conveys unhappiness. It conveys hesitation or reflection. So you have to be aware your body language is going to interpret what silence is saying. So if you're silent and your body language is looking away, right? That means you're not interested.
Hmm. Very true.
So
Yeah,
there
because yeah, no response is a response.
it is exactly a response. You can be silent in a conversation, but there needs to be a reason that you're
Hmm.
silent, and it
Hmm.
has to mesh with your body language. So instead of being silent in an interview, I'll do something like, let me think about that. Hang on a second. Let me
Hmm.
reflect.
Oh, good points. Very good points.
So I'm saying something so they know why I'm being silent when I'm actually trying to capture maybe a specific example to tell them.
Okay. That's good advice.
Yeah. So when you look at this meeting, what do everybody in the meeting look like? So the guy standing up, he's the speaker. Does everybody else look engaged?
To me, they do, absolutely.
Yeah. The lower right, that person, she looks like she might be reflective. She's got her fingers on her side of her face, like she's thinking about what he's saying. She agrees, but she's thinking about it. The gentleman facing him has got his hands kind of out closely, like he's like, yeah, makes sense, right?
Hmm.
And everybody else is looking at him. Um, the girl sitting on the desk is leaning in, right? So
Hmm.
he seems animated about what he's talking about with his hands and his smile, and everybody else seems to be interested in what he's saying.
Yes.
But then when you look at this one, what do these people convey in a meeting?
Yeah, we've got, well, the one on the far left, he's touching his neck here, which is a very low power position,
Mm-hmm.
and he's looking at his resume. He's kind of
Uh-huh.
oh, I just can't wait to get out of here.
Yep. Yep.
The one with her arms crossed, like looks like she's tired. She can't, like she's bored.
Do I have to be here? And look at her jeans.
Yeah, ripped jeans, arms crossed, got her phone in her hand.
Yep.
Um, the one with her head up with her resume like under her chin, what is she doing?
Just like looking up at the sky, like, I'm so bored. I gotta figure out something out to keep my attention.
Yeah. And the other guy's looking at his phone.
Yeah.
Shoulders are kind of slumped. Yeah, definitely like they want to be anywhere else but there.
Yeah. So that's two really good examples of what happens with your body language and the message that you convey and how easily it can change. Even if you walk into an interview and you're carrying your resume and you start to slouch and you catch yourself, bring yourself back up. You can change
Hmm.
that opinion. It's the last opinion, the opinion will be the last impression that they have of your body language. And so, nonverbal communication provides information about feelings and intentions. It regulates the interaction you have with others. It can express intimacy. And then they can also be used to establish control or dominance, depending on how you use the nonverbal communication.
Wow. Really great message.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, what else can I share about nonverbal communication?
No, this is great. I mean, it's so important to understand that, yeah, it's just more than your words. I mean, and it is the way that you carry yourself and it is the way that it's all over your face. I mean, we kind of joke around, like, my face has subtitles, or,
Hmm.
like you can't hide what you're thinking if you're not paying attention to your nonverbal. So this is such a great message. I mean, for interviews, for just classroom, behavior, or even like when students are uploading pictures, like either to their handshake or even to their LinkedIn. I'm like, guys, am I looking at headshots or mug shots? Like, what is happening? Like,
Right.
like, okay, so they're learning. So this is such a great message. We are up on our time though, Stephanie. Do you have any like parting words of wisdom for our students about how they can work on these super important skills?
Practice looking in a mirror.
Okay,
Know what message you want to convey. Research what type of body language conveys that, and then practice looking in a mirror.
perfect. I love it. Well, as always, I love our time together. I so appreciate you giving us some of your professional time
Thank
and
you.
sharing your thoughts and wisdom on these topics. So thank you so much. Try to stay warm. I'm thinking we only probably hopefully have another couple more days of it being this cold, and I know the weather's got to get better.
It has to.
It has to. All right. Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you
Thank
for
you so
joining
much.
us on the call. If you didn't get a chance to scan the code, I'm going to put it up there just for another quick second. You can scan the QR code there, or I also dropped the link in the chat pod if you're on your phone and you can't scan. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Next week, we'll be talking about written and verbal communication. So, we'll be following up on the heels of this. So,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.